Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something super festive today. Christmas hot cocoa mix.
Mmm, sounds delicious already.
Right. And we found this amazing blog post on cookerdiary.com with a recipe,
Oh, cool.
tips, variations,
Nice.
even compares hot cocoa mix to hot chocolate.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah. So whether you're like me and you want to try a new recipe, or maybe you want to make some homemade gifts,
Yeah.
this is a good one. To walk us through all this, we have our culinary expert.
It's funny, hot cocoa really brings back so many good memories.
It really does.
Yeah.
Okay, so the recipe.
Yeah.
It's really simple.
Yeah. Very straightforward.
But what stood out to you about this recipe? Anything catch your eye?
Well, one thing I noticed was they use powdered milk.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah. And I thought, why not regular milk? But actually, the powdered milk not only makes it creamy,
Okay.
but it also helps the mix stay fresh longer
Oh, that's a good tip.
because it doesn't have the moisture that liquid milk has.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
That's a good detail. And the blog post talks about how much better homemade is than store-bought.
Oh, for sure. And I think it really comes down to control over the ingredients.
Okay.
You know, a lot of those store-bought mixes have all those extra preservatives, artificial flavors.
Yeah.
Maybe even hydrogenated oils, that kind of thing.
And if you make it at home,
You know exactly what's going in there. You can make it healthier, and I think it tastes better, too.
it makes sense. Plus, you can customize it.
Totally. Want it a little sweeter, add more sugar,
Exactly.
richer chocolate flavor, a bit more cocoa powder does the trick.
And even like different kinds of milk powder.
Exactly. Like if you're going for a vegan version or something.
Yeah, very cool. Now, one thing I always get mixed up
Mmm.
is the difference between hot cocoa and hot chocolate.
Yes, the classic confusion.
Could you break that down for us?
Okay, so think of hot chocolate like the fancy version.
Ooh, okay.
You know, it's made with real melted chocolate.
So like good quality chocolate.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
gives it that thick, velvety texture, super rich.
Oh, got it. So hot chocolate for like a special occasion.
Exactly, when you want to really savor that intense chocolate.
Okay, so where does the hot cocoa mix come in?
So hot cocoa mix is made with cocoa powder,
Okay.
which is basically chocolate with the cocoa butter removed.
Oh,
But
okay.
you get a lighter drink.
Okay.
Still really good, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Just not quite as intensely chocolatey as that melted chocolate.
Got it. So it's kind of like options, right?
Right.
Hot chocolate for a special occasion, hot cocoa mix for every day.
Yeah. Or maybe when you just want something quick and easy.
This is making me crave a mug right now.
Uh-huh, me too.
But before I run off to the kitchen, let's talk about those variations.
Oh, yeah. The variations. That's where things get really fun.
Yeah. What were some of your favorites from the blog post? They had so many.
Oh, so many good ones. They had peppermint, a spiced version,
Spicy.
even vegan options, and a really rich and creamy one with grated chocolate.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Right. And then they had these really fun ideas for gifts, like Christmas hot cocoa cones.
Oh, yeah. Those are cute.
Yeah. And they also mentioned hot cocoa bombs. Have you seen those?
Yeah, they're everywhere these days.
They're so cool. You put the bomb in a mug of warm milk and it like melts and explodes.
It's like a chocolate explosion.
Yeah, it's super fun. Perfect for gifts.
Okay, yeah, I think everyone would be impressed by that.
Uh-huh, for sure. But even something simple like a mason jar filled with the mix and a pretty label would be great.
Yeah, totally. And it's really practical, too, because it's pretty affordable to make, especially around the holidays when you're already spending so much.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a great way to give something homemade without going over budget.
Speaking of practical, the blog post also had an FAQ section.
Oh, those are always helpful.
Yeah, were there any questions that stood out to you?
Well, a lot of people were asking about using milk versus water.
Oh, yeah, good question.
And the post says you can use either. It just depends on what you're looking for. Water makes it lighter, less creamy, while milk makes it richer, more indulgent.
Options are always good.
Exactly. And then another question was about how long the mix would stay good.
Oh, yeah, that's important, especially if you're making it ahead of time.
Right. And they said it can last up to 3 months if you store it properly in an airtight container.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so you can make a big batch and not worry about it going bad before you get to use it all.
Very nice. Now, there were a couple things in the recipe that I was curious about.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Okay, so it calls for a pinch of salt,
Uh,
which seemed a little weird for something sweet.
I know, right? But a little bit of salt actually helps bring out the chocolate flavor.
Really?
Yeah, it kind of balances out the sweetness and makes it more complex and satisfying.
Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea.
It's like a little secret weapon for flavor.
Wow. What about the vanilla powder? It says it's optional, but I love vanilla, so I'm curious about what it adds.
Vanilla is great. It adds a kind of warmth and depth to the chocolate. Like it amplifies that rich chocolatey flavor.
No, so we've got powdered milk for creaminess, a pinch of salt to balance the sweetness, and a little vanilla to boost that chocolate flavor.
It's all about the little things.
Right, it's like a symphony of flavors.
Exactly. And don't forget about those chocolate chips in the mix. They add some decadence and a nice texture.
Okay, now I'm seriously craving this hot cocoa.
Aha. Same here.
But before we both run off to make some, maybe we should move on to gift-giving ideas.
Oh, yes. Gift giving. Because who wouldn't love a jar of homemade cocoa as a gift?
Right, it's so thoughtful and delicious. Let's talk about that in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good to me. So, yeah, I mean, a homemade gift is always so special.
Oh, totally. It's so much more meaningful than something you just buy at the store, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And this hot cocoa mix is perfect for gifting. There are so many cute ideas.
Oh, yeah, and the blog had some really good ones.
Yeah, like those Christmas hot cocoa coons.
Oh, yeah, those were adorable.
Right. You could layer the mix with marshmallows and crushed candy canes and tie it with a ribbon.
Oh, so cute. And I bet those would look amazing on a Christmas tree or in a gift basket.
Totally. And what about those hot cocoa bombs we were talking about? Those are super fun for gifts, too.
Oh, absolutely. Those are so impressive.
It's like a little chocolate bomb that explodes in your mug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A chocolate explosion.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, everyone would love that.
But even if you don't want to get that fancy, you could just fill a mason jar with the mix and add a cute label.
Oh, yeah. Simple, but so thoughtful. Plus, it's pretty affordable to make a bunch of these as gifts, especially compared to buying something for everyone.
Oh, for sure. It's budget-friendly gifting at its best.
Right. Okay, so the blog post also had that FAQ section, which I always appreciate.
Yeah, I like those too.
Yeah, did any of the questions or tips in there stand out to you?
Well, a lot of people were wondering about using milk or water with the mix.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
And the good news is you can use either. It just depends on what you're going for.
Okay, so what's the difference?
So if you use water, you'll get a lighter, less creamy drink.
Okay,
But if you use milk, it'll be richer and more indulgent.
got it. So, options.
Options, exactly. And another common question was about how long the mix stays fresh.
Yeah, that's a good one. Especially if you're making it ahead of time for gifts.
Right. And they said it can actually last up to 3 months if you store it right.
3 months. Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Just make sure to keep it in an airtight container in a cool, dry place.
Got it. So you can make a big batch in advance.
Yeah, exactly. And they even had some tips for people who want to make a sugar-free version.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they suggested using a sugar-free alternative like powdered erythritol or stevia.
Oh, cool. So even more customization options.
Yeah, exactly. This recipe is so versatile, you can really make it your own.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the mix, but what about toppings? Because no cup of hot cocoa is complete without toppings.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Toppings are essential.
What are some of your favorites?
Well, you can't go wrong with classic marshmallows.
The melty, gooey marshmallows.
The best. And for a little extra fanciness, a dollop of whipped cream is always nice.
Ooh, yeah, whipped cream is so good.
And then for some crunch, you could do crushed candy canes, especially for Christmas.
Festive and crunchy, I like it.
Or if you're a real chocolate lover, some dark chocolate shavings on top.
Oh, that sounds amazing. What about a sprinkle of sea salt? Have you ever tried that?
Oh, yeah. Sea salt on top of whipped cream is so good.
That salty-sweet combo is the best.
Right. And if you want something warm and cozy, a sprinkle of cinnamon or nutmeg is always nice.
Ooh, yes. So many possibilities. I'm picturing a hot cocoa bar with all sorts of toppings. Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, that's a great idea. It would be so fun to let everyone create their own custom hot cocoa creations.
Right. Okay, so going back to the blog post, there was something they said that really stuck with me.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
They talked about how the true magic of hot cocoa is the warmth and connection it brings.
Oh, totally. It's so true. It's about those shared moments with loved ones.
Yeah, and those cozy feelings of comfort and togetherness.
Exactly. And it's a drink that can really bring people together no matter what.
And sometimes something as simple as a cup of hot cocoa can be the start of those special moments.
Absolutely. It's like a little hug in a mug.
Oh, I love that. So true. Okay, so we've covered a lot about this Christmas hot cocoa mix.
Yeah, we have.
We've talked about the recipe, the variations, the gift-giving ideas.
We even talked about toppings.
But there's one thing we haven't touched on yet, and I'm really curious about it.
What's that?
The history of hot cocoa.
Right.
Where did it all begin? How did we get to this delicious drink we all know and love?
Ooh, good question. The history of hot cocoa is actually pretty fascinating.
I bet. Let's dive into that in the last part of our deep dive.
Got so good to me.
All right, so we've covered the recipe, the gifts, even those warm, fuzzy feelings hot cocoa brings.
Yeah, we really dove in.
But I'm still curious about the history of hot cocoa. It feels like such a classic drink.
It really is. But the origins might surprise you.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, it actually goes way back to ancient civilizations like the Mayans and Aztecs.
Wow, really? I had no idea it was that old.
Oh yeah, they were enjoying chocolate drinks centuries ago.
That's incredible.
Huh.
But I'm guessing their version was probably pretty different from what we drink today.
Oh, definitely. Theirs was often bitter and spiced, even used in rituals and ceremonies.
Huh, interesting. So it wasn't really about those cozy vibes back then.
Not quite. It was more about the cultural and ceremonial significance.
So how did we get from those ancient drinks to the hot cocoa we know and love today?
It's quite a journey. Chocolate made its way to Europe in the 16th century,
Okay.
and that's when things started to change. It became a fashionable drink among the European elite, actually.
Wow, so it went from a ritual drink to a status symbol.
Yeah, pretty much. And over time, people started experimenting with different flavors and ways of making it.
I could see that happening.
But the big turning point was when cocoa powder was developed in the 19th century.
That makes sense. It probably made it more affordable for everyone.
Exactly. It became more accessible to the masses, not just the wealthy.
So that's when hot cocoa as we know it really became a thing.
Yep. And it's so interesting how that happened alongside all those big social and economic changes going on at the time.
Yeah, food and drinks are so connected to history.
Totally. And hot cocoa's journey is a perfect example of that.
It's amazing to think about that history while you're sipping a cup of hot cocoa.
It really adds another layer to it. But even though it's been around for so long, it's still super popular today.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think makes it so timeless and appealing even now?
Well, I think a big part of it is that feeling of warmth, comfort, and nostalgia it brings.
It's true. It has that special something that takes you back, those cozy winter nights, family gatherings.
Yeah, exactly. Those warm, happy memories.
I'm curious, are there any interesting hot cocoa traditions from other parts of the world?
Oh, definitely. Hot cocoa is a global thing now. In Mexico, for example, they have a drink called champurrado.
Champurrado, okay.
It's a thick, corn-based hot chocolate, often flavored with cinnamon and piloncillo.
Oh, wow, that sounds really good.
And it's a popular drink for the holidays there. Then there's Spain.
Okay.
They have chocolate a la taza, which is incredibly thick and rich, often served with churros.
Churros, yum. That sounds like a perfect combo.
Right. And in Italy, they have cioccolata calda.
Okay, what's that like?
It's super creamy, almost like a pudding.
Wow.
Yeah. It's even enjoyed for breakfast sometimes.
I love that. So many different takes on hot cocoa,
Mhm.
but it always has that core feeling of warmth and comfort.
That's the magic of hot cocoa. It brings people together no matter where you are or how you make it.
Absolutely. Well, as we wrap up our deep dive into Christmas hot cocoa mix, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this?
I think the main takeaway is that making your own hot cocoa mix is really about more than just the recipe. It's about creating something special, something with your own touch, and sharing that warmth and generosity with others.
So well said. It's about those heartfelt moments and connections.
Exactly. And maybe it'll even inspire some new holiday traditions for our listeners.
That would be amazing. Well, on that note, we'll say goodbye for now.
Yeah, happy holidays, everyone.
And happy hot cocoa sipping.